Hi guys, Luca here from Sabre Airsoft with a video today on the MTW 308 from Wolverine. I own an MTW myself. I've used it in a few games. I haven't really played much over the summer, if I'm perfectly honest, but they are solid, reliable platforms. So in terms of upgrades, there's not really a huge amount that you need to do to it at all, really. You can run it stock perfectly fine. That's not to say there aren't things that are nice to haves, which is why today we're going to be installing this PDI words, they fail me today, 375mm wide ball barrel, 0.8mm, well, 6.08. We're also going to be putting in G&G green and also the Silent Industries alpha. Why G&G green? Well, put it simply, Rumbolt did an excellent video demonstrating that as far as reliability and consistency goes, the G&G green, despite it being a very outdated design as far as hop-ups are concerned, is actually the most reliable when it comes to HPA engines. He demonstrated this with an MTW. And so, therefore, I'm going to go with his findings, because it was very well put together video. I'll put a link down in the description below. And I'm inclined to agree. Now, that's not to say that this won't get changed out again. The customer is going to have this to begin with. We're going to see how he gets on with it. And then if we find that it's not hopping enough and it's not going far enough, then we'll look at other options. What those options will be, not entirely sure yet. It might be a Quantum, it might be something else. I believe this has got very similar feed lips to a Quantum. So that may be the case that we just swap it out. But either way, for now, we're going with this combination. Not just that though, the other thing we're doing is we're going to be dropping in a BLINC board. This is the new board from Wolverine Airsoft, and it is Bluetooth capable, but it is not solely Bluetooth, which is why I like it. Because anything that requires a Bluetooth connection and an application to program it, in my mind, is bad, as all it takes is for one dependency to be updated or removed, and then suddenly you've got something that you can't ever reprogram. This at least has the mechanical backup. It also has an app, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show you that because, well, I use my phone to record. So you're just going to have to... I'll try and put a link in another link in the video description for a video that shows you what the application is like. But the things that you can do with it, which are very good, is you can tune the dwell automatically as long as you connect it to something like the airsofttech Bluetooth tracer, or with the built-in chrono, or the airsofttech chrono, which also has Bluetooth. As long as you connect it to one of those, as well as your phone, you can auto-tune the dwell. And I've tested this, and I've already done it to one, and yeah, no, it's good. It is definitely good. There is a gotcha when it comes to installing these, though, which is to make sure that you don't have any oil from factory on the barrel. The selector barrel, because if you do, you may find that it starts reading it as being in fully automatic or semi when it's not. I discovered that in the first one I installed, and this is now the second one. So we're not actually going to go into this yet. We're going to do that last. First, we're going to do this, because we don't actually need to replace the stock one that's in there. We can just remove that as is and replace it with this one. Now, this barrel is technically shorter, I believe, than the stock one. The stock one being, I want to say 380 or maybe 385. But this will still work. You don't need to go the full length. It can be nice too, but you don't need to. As long as you're not doing an extreme amount of overhop where it's then suddenly lifting as soon as it's left the barrel, you should be fine. And if not, then I'll just have to get another one for the customer. PDI barrels are sturdy. That's the best way to describe these. They're thick-walled, they've got a large outer diameter, and they are just really, really, really well constructed. You do pay a premium for it, though. They are not the cheapest. So why wide bore? Well, the running theory is, and I've yet to confirm this, and this will be part of the way in which I confirm it, is by doing a direct comparison between what's in there and this barrel. I'll be taking that up to Revolution Airsoft tomorrow to do that. So by doing a direct comparison, then I can see if being wide bore actually has any noticeable benefit. Now, of course, that's not going to necessarily be a fair experiment because it's going to be the stock Super Macron Blue and stock hop chamber and stock barrel versus free aftermarket parts. Although, I don't know that you can really call this aftermarket considering these are standard in a lot of G&G replicas. That just goes on there like that, nice and easy. Now this hop chamber, as again, I've already installed one of these and I was quite impressed. As far as the construction goes, I think it's quite good. I am going to need to get a nub though. Now they do recommend with the Silent Industries hop chamber that you use the my words are just gone today. They do recommend that you use an Omega nub. However, we're going to see if it works with the Quantum nub because I have a few of those kicking about and I don't have any Omegas at the minute. Some idiot forgot to order them. But installation is very, very simple. In the package, obviously you get the hop chamber and the hop arm TDC aspect of it. That is a different company's retention clip. I can't quite recall what company it is. Then you get the barrel wedge, as I call it, because it is kind of like a wedge rather than just a brass ring that you hope is the correct dimension. Then you get these two little rings. Now these two little rings are important because what these do is they tension the feed lips on the hop rubber. And the reason that's important in HPA especially is because you want as tight an air seal as you possibly can get. As you can see, it just sits over the feed lips like that. The white ring is looser than the black one, but there are other options as well. You can get much tighter and again looser once more. Now these hop units as well do come with this handy little notch here for those who aren't necessarily familiar with putting together a hop unit, and that just tells you how to line it up because you should be lining that notch up with the slit that's in the barrel. Then you grab your little clip, making sure to orient it correctly with the step facing towards the end, the business end, and just clip it on. Simple as that. So these are pretty much designed to work with PDI barrels, so it should be a pretty straightforward install if you're using a PDI barrel. If you're not, then it may not be quite as smooth. Let's just grab this real quick. My little bag of spare nubs. I do have a pair of tweezers somewhere. Team Messy Desk strikes again. Yeah, they're right in front of me because I'm blind. I'm just going to grab one of these Quantum nubs, which out of all of the options that are in here is probably among the better ones. I'm just going to drop that in there and put it the right orientation. Boom. Easy peasy. Then I'm going to grab TDC. And all this does is just make sure that all the pressure that's applied is in a straight vertical force and not in a sort of canted force. Just give it a quick function test, make sure that it's moving freely. And look down the barrel again to make sure it's moving freely. Yes, it is. Just going to put the tensioner ring back on. And this is, as you can see, it's got quite a shallow amount of grain. So you can really turn this a lot and have very little change in your amount of hop that's applied, which is a really, really good design. Unfortunately, I don't have one of these in my MTW, but after having now installed two of these, I am very much considering it. Let's put it to about there, I think. Just check to make sure that it is nice and straight and level. Yeah, certainly looks like it is. I'm going to drop this on, and we should be good to go. I'll say this just holds tension, doesn't necessarily need to fit flat from what I've been able to tell, so I'm not going to force it all the way in. So it's just not needed. It is wedged, it is not moving relative to the hop unit. We are good. And that's how easy it is to install one of those. Just pop the rest off to one side. And then we can get to the fun stuff. So So as you can see, this customer already has a frac kit installed, the fixed rear air connector, which is something that I quite like myself, but it does mean that if you're going to be taking it apart, you have to approach it slightly differently. You can't just pop the rear body pin and then lift the upper. It just won't work. Instead, you have to take out both body pins and then press the button on the side in order to let the airline come through. So let's do the upper first, I think. As you can see as well, the airline no longer comes out through here, it now comes out through the back in order to go into the rear of the lower. First order of business is disconnect the wires. Oh, if I can get to it. It's a bit deeper in this one because it's 308 than what you'd see in... My fingers are just too fat to get in there properly and pull that out. If I can pull this out, then what I can do is, yes. Cool, so we'll take a slightly different approach, pull that out first. Pull the retaining clip, bounce back. And then we'll just pull it out this way instead. So now it is covered in oil. Why is there so much oil on this? Now I can disconnect it like this. Voila. Don't need that. That's being replaced. Yeah, that's absolutely caked. Pull the original hop chamber and barrel, etc. out. Just do a quick comparison. Ooh, this looks like it might be shorter actually. No, I was right. It's about the same length, about 5mm short. The new one's about 5mm shorter, so that's fine. So pop that to one side. I will need the spring. Slide that in. Now we're going to get the bit we need from the BLINC box, because with this new control board, what they've done is they've replaced the contacts to the upper. So on the old one, as you can see, it is springs, whereas this, it's now spring-loaded pins with an additional spring. It's a vast improvement as far as the contacts go compared to the original. But that's not what we wanted. What we want is what comes inside here, the new contact yoke. Pop that in there because I will be putting the one that's in there currently in here. Whoop. Pop that slightly more out of the way so I don't accidentally crush it. I'll plug this in now and then do the reverse of what I did. Normally I would have pulled this out a different way, but it was being an absolute stubborn so-and-so. Try and slide this back through without damaging it. Okay, actually, you know what? Let's do that properly. Pop that in. There we go. That took far more effort than it had any right to. Now, yeah, just like the first time around when I did this, I am finding that it's a very snug fit to get into that. So I'm just going to pop the retaining pin in first. Just going to swivel this around a little bit more. There we go. Oh, you son of a... Get in there. Okay, so apparently the 308 is a real pain to get this clip back into. At least it's being a pain for me. Oh, come on. Right, okay. In the slot now. There we go. Right. That took far longer than normal. Right, let's get this one in. A little bit stubborn, but not too bad. There we go. Right, that's the upper done. On to the lower. Now, before I take the board out and everything like that, I just want to demonstrate something, which it's not directed at necessarily any of you guys, but there is one particular customer it is directed at, which is they're like, oh, the travel on my MTW trigger is too much. That's all there is. There is no travel at all. Anyway, I quite like the trigger. It's curved. As everyone who knows me knows, I love curved triggers. So to get this board out, it's pretty straightforward. First we're going to need to get the wires from out of the grip. And this is the beauty of the fixed rear airline connector, or the FRAC kit, is that you can then use the grip just to store the battery and you don't have to open it up every time you want to use it because the line is down in the grip. You can do that obviously with normally, but it's a bit more fiddly when you've got the line going down there as well. So we need to trigger pin, I believe it is. No, it's this front, the trigger spring pin. Sorry. Let's do that. I'm just going to grab this Allen key. Should hopefully be enough. Okay, might need a little bit of encouragement. I'm just going to tap it through. No. Okay. Why don't I use an actual appropriate tool for a change? Don't need to go far, you just need to get it through enough that you can then pull the board out. So which is more than that. Actually, you might have to take it all the way through. It's not the end of the world if you do, you just need to make sure that you reseat the trigger spring when you do. There we go. Yep, just the one pin. Now we can look at the original versus the newer one. And notice that they are practically identical, except for a few key differences. First off, it's missing the additional connector for, I believe that's for bypass, possibly. I can't quite recall, but there is basically, you can hardwire this into the... Words are escaping me again today. It's a J1 connector, which I think the J1 connector is for the engine itself, so you can potentially use this with different engines rather than just Wolverine. I can't quite recall, but you can't do that out of the box, at least with this one. The contacts and the pads and the circuitry is all there, but the connector itself is not. So you could surface mount it yourself, though it's not recommended if you're not familiar with doing that. One of the other key differences is in the selector sensor, where on this one, the selector sensor is these two holes. On the new one, it is just simply this optical sensor here. What else have we got? Yes, if you want to reset it at any point, you need to basically bridge those two holes there, the ground one and default, and then plug in a battery, and that will factory reset it. It does not, however, change the shot count. I do believe the shot count is persistent across, no matter what you do, it will always be there. So you know, if you get one of these and you plug it into, and you go into your app and you see that it's got hundreds of thousands of shots, then you know that this isn't actually a new board and you've probably been had, unless you knew you were buying it second hand, at which point, fair enough. So before I install it, I'm going to double check something. So this was a gotcha that I had when... installing it in another one. Yeah, so this barrel isn't actually ready for this connector, this trigger ball. And the reason being is that there's not currently any way to distinguish between the two states. So which means I need to put a black sticker on the barrel. How am I going to do that? Let's have a thinky doodle. What should I use? Let's go. I do have some black electrical tape. That should do it. There you go, black electrical tape. Hello. Hopefully the right size. Okay, Future Luca, I'm just going to cut in right now. I put the sticker on the wrong spot on the barrel. So on the black barrel, so if you've got a black selector barrel, then the sticker needs to go in the front where it would be, so basically where the selector points. Whereas if you've got a silver barrel like in this one, you actually need to do the inverse. So what it's looking out for is that difference between well, it's looking for white for semi-automatic. So make sure that you put it on the right way. I'll quickly also put up a picture for which way it goes round, depending on the colour of the selector on the screen now. Anyway, back to past me. There we go. So now it'll have two differing colours, which is what the board expects. Hopefully this works first time. It didn't the first time I did it around, did it? Because there was oil which was causing a reflection, which was making it think that it was not in safe. So again, I'm just going to make sure that's free of any oil there, which it is not. Okay, let's give it a try. So one of the things I first make sure to do is get these wires up and out of the way, rather than try and do it when it's going in. Now this slot here has to sit over the trigger pin. That is where the pin that we pushed out for the spring goes through and retains it. That's all that holds this in, guys, is just a single pin. And the pressure from the upper receiver, of course. There is a notch on the trigger bar, or trigger pin, that it should slot, or on the other side of the trigger pin even. So if it's not going in, just make sure that trigger pin hasn't shifted out at all. There we go. So it's a very, very snug fit, because as I say, these are very well built bits of kit. And the problem with precision is sometimes it can be too precise. Make sure that spring's on the notch. There we go. It is in. Then we're just going to run that wire down back through the grip. And then there's a little shelf that it rests on so that it doesn't get crushed by the upper receiver. And now we can just put it back together. Of course, being a frac kit means that we got to put the the connector through first, which can be a bit of a pain. Pull that wire down. I find it can be quite fiddly. There we go. Once it clicks, it should be in. You should be able to put the lower down. There we go. One and two. Right then, that's it. Half an hour. That's all it took. Let's see if that's working okay. It will beep now whenever you plug a battery in. And then for the first, I think, I want to say like 10 seconds or so, it's in discoverable mode, or maybe it's a minute. After that, it then goes into normal mode. Nothing. So that's seeing it currently is full also. where that's safe. Quite possibly I didn't need that sticker. But we can also get around that by setting it to semi-semi, which is another option you can do. Either way, that's it for this video really, guys. I'm going to go now and do some dwell tuning and probably sort that. It may be that I just need to go through and go back in and remove that sticker, which is fine. I'm pretty sure actually the sticker is supposed to be in the... No, it is supposed to be in the semi position. So I'm going to go in and check the programming because it shouldn't be doing full auto, but that might also be a result of the blink board going into the 308, which is slightly different as it is semi-locked. Regardless, that's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you've got any questions about the blink, feel free to ask. Let's say this is the second one I've installed now, and so far I found them to be quite good. Catch you on the next one.